Hello, everyone, and welcome to the undisputed heavyweight champion of the world show made for the fans by a fan. I am your host, as always, Richard Tiemann, and this is the award-winning Fan Show. Yes, thank you all for joining me. It is Tuesday, and we are long overdue from a new episode of the show made for the fans by a fan. Everyone's a fan of something, and we have got something for every fan, especially if you are a fan of the Indoor Football League, because we are how many days now? I believe we're down to one hand, single digits, 4 days away from kickoff. I can feel it. I can feel it. It's in the air. Indoor football. 13 teams. It's an odd number. Not a fan of that, but it's okay because obviously means to an end. They are discussing what is the golden number, so to speak. What is the number they want to cap at? Is there a number they want to cap at? I believe they do. I think 16, 20 would be the magic number for me. What is the magic number in your mind? We've got 13 now. You add another 3, which I've heard rumors that there are 3 potential new markets for expansion in 2021. Of course, we already know of Columbus, but then 3 more on top of that. Strong ownership groups, things like that, the things that make a football team run. I would say 16, and if you have to turn teams away, it looks even better for you. You know, what's the movie Accepted, right? The whole thing's about being accepted into college, and the villain of the movie, the bad guy, the antagonist, talks about how every college like Harvard and Yale are based, their eliteness, their greatness is based on the number of students that they reject, which it's totally a messed up way of thinking, but you know, there is a point. I'm not saying that should be the IFL's goal, but I'm saying that it's good problems to have if you come up with a magic number, 16, and you have 16 and they're all criteria is met. They look like solid investments that they're going to help your league thrive and be competitive and be awesome. And then there's another one that wants to come in, and you're like, we can't, we're full. You know, we got a full boat. Like, better luck next time. I get that you don't want it to come to that, but at the same time, it's not such a bad look for a league that is trying to separate itself. The cream is trying to rise to the top for the IFL and become the Indoor Football League. I mean, it's already the IFL, right? That's what the logo has on it. So it will be interesting to see how this plays out. I'm just excited for this season because I know 2020 is going to be that season that it's going to be competitive. We're going to crown probably one of the greatest champions ever, and hopefully it's salt-free. But man, I'm super stoked for it. But I feel like I've already gotten too far into my discussion. So let's do what we do, and let's do the headlines here, and let's open it up. Let's talk about some stuff here. All right. So here we go with today's headlines. Headlines are, of course, brought to you by Dynamite Enterprises, and they can help you pretty much customize your world. They want to help you do that by customizing anything you need with your logo or artwork on it. They can do backdrops. Like you see, this is Dynamite Enterprises' fine work right back here. You may have noticed the change of scenery. It's right back there. So they can do stuff like that. They can do mic flags, tablecloths. They can do plaques, trophies, even belts. But they, as far as apparel, they do a great job. They do shirts, beanies, hats, polos, jackets, you name it. Chances are they can do it. Check out their Instagram if you don't have to take my word for it. I would think that you would at this phase of the game, 5 years of Fan Show, that you take my word for it. I've never steered you wrong before. So check out Dynamite Enterprises on Instagram, and then, of course, visit dynamiteenterprises.com if you know what you want, or you want to get a quote on what you want, then go ahead and hit up Ethan at dynamiteenterprises.com. So we are talking about today's top story, which happens to be, yep, you guessed it, it is the Indoor Football League. And I love that logo. That logo, I think, is fantastic. It's got a very arena football feel and look to it. It's okay. It's okay. I'm not going to judge, it's not my decision to make, but I think it looks good. It looks progressive. Is that the word I'm looking for? It looks progressive. For those of you listening on the podcast, showing the version 2 of the new Indoor Football League logo. Basically, it's got a kind of a shield, and then football and league in big bold letters, kind of like what is another league or a team that looks similar to that? Is that the MLB All-Star game? Is that the All-Star logo that's got the letters kind of like that? I'll have to look and find an example. But then you've got the football on the top part of the shield, and it says indoor. And then below everything in smaller print at the bottom of the shield says IFL. The other one is obviously being used a lot more around. It's their profile picture. It's attached to everything. I just like this one better. I do. There's something about it. But a good, solid, clean look, all right? I mean, whoever designed it clearly knew what they were doing. Whoever came up with the design knew what they wanted. And it's professionally done. It looks great. Only 3 colors. I mean, you don't want to complicate it when it comes to a logo. And that's why I have the logo that I do, the shield, the Fan Show shield. And I'm very happy with how that turned out all those years ago. So indoor football begins 4 days from now. Quad City Steamwheelers will take on the River Kings of Cedar Rapids. I have a River King as my guest tonight, Shaq Curenton. Great conversation. We talked about off-season prep, how he used to be a sugar skull, what life was like in Tucson, and of course, what sold him ultimately on joining Cedar Rapids. I hyped up the fan base. I know you guys in Iowa, you love your Barnstormers and your River Kings. If you can make both games, you'll make both games. You hope that the schedule gods are kind to you when the schedule comes out, and that Iowa is a Saturday game and Cedar Rapids is a Sunday game, or maybe vice versa, or maybe one's a Friday, and hell, maybe one's a Monday. But you guys will go to both games if you can, and that, I think, is awesome. It is really that kind of fan passion that I like. So 4 days away. I think we've covered a lot here on the Fan Show as far as what we're looking forward to the most. For me, just the field of competition, seeing all the coaches that we have finally be on one singular stage. We've got great coaches that have been around the league to some capacity, now are head coaches, and they've head coached other leagues like the NAL, CIF, things like that. But now they're all converged onto one place. There's even coaches from the AFL, and I just think that we're really going to see some phenomenal competition out there. In fact, I talked to Shaq briefly about the Fan Show top 10 plays of the week, and that is probably going to be the hardest thing I do each week. It's trying to figure out, obviously when there's more than just 2 games like we have for week 1, but when we have several teams playing in a week, oh boy, that's going to be tough to get all these good plays in the mix and then figure out which ones, they're not just good, but they're great. Which games, which plays were great, were play of the week worthy. We're going to give you the 10 best week in and week out right here on the Fan Show. Let's see here. Other than that, me looking forward to the field of competition, the coaches. I'm glad to see a lot of my friends are still actively participating in the Indoor Football League. Brian Hicks in Oakland, great to have him back in the fold. Lenoris Footman coming back to Green Bay, great to see him up there. Green Bay's success last year, I would really like to see them replicate that because it was so well deserved. They worked really hard for it. And then, of course, we're curious, what will Oakland look like? I mean, yeah, they've got Brian Hicks at quarterback. They've got Marshawn Lynch as a minority owner, but the actual playing, their inaugural season, how are they going to do? Billy back, the Spokane Shock. How well are they going to do? They're an early pick by some to win it all. To win it all. I mean, hey, I'm all for bold predictions. And that one, I maybe not so bold. But you've got to understand, though, that when it comes to the preseason predictions, you got to kind of temper your expectations, okay? Now, look, Shock fans, they can go buck wild. They can get crazy. I know them. I love them. Some of the best fans in the league. They have been waiting 2 years for this, right? Probably longer if you really think about it. The Empire was great, but it was a change that a lot of fans weren't fond of. And I feel like that's not quite an acceptable excuse to not support something that you have up until then. Just because they had to rebrand and they changed leagues doesn't mean that you're getting any less quality of play and football out on the field. But at the same time, I get it. We're human. We don't like when things change. We don't understand when things are different. So for them to get the Shock name back, to get a head coach like Billy back with that name now, and for them to get the band back together, essentially, I think it's great for them. I really do. I'm very, very happy for Spokane. So how will they do? They will probably have a winning season. That would be my prediction. Postseason bound, more than likely. Championship bound. That's another thing. 8 teams will advance to the postseason. There will be no byes, except for the bye in between the final round of the playoffs to determine the United Bowl and the United Bowl itself. There will be a week gap in between. So the last weekend of July will be your United Bowl championship. Frisco, the Fighters, got a pretty good squad down there. Jonathan Bain is going to be their quarterback. How well will they do? And then, of course, Duke City, the Gladiators, the back-to-back champions, Indoor Football League champions, joining the IFL. How well will they do? Are they big fish, small pond coming into a bigger pond now? Can they keep up with the big dogs in the IFL? And I don't mean to talk like I'm talking down to Duke City, okay? I just think that, CIF and IFL, it's this Jets versus Sharks-like rivalry, man. Which side are you on? West Side Story. I'm glad to have them. I do think they will bring in competitive football, which is what you want from a team joining the league. So your thoughts on IFL 2020, as we are now just 4 days away. I think if I can, I'll do 3 episodes this week because it's the week up until kickoff, one of the most exciting weeks for me personally. We will have special guests each time. I apologize for not having one Thursday. Hadn't been feeling all that well Thursday. Friday did not feel very well at all. And then Saturday, used that day to kind of recover because we had our season ticket pickup party for the Sioux Falls Storm Sunday. Great get-together. Got to hang out with my guys from CGS, Nate Rogers, Tevis Bartlett, Deshaunte Lloyd. Wasn't there, but I saw him for the first day of training camp. Training camp was a lot of fun to attend. It's still going on now, but to be there for day one was really something. I had only stopped by a couple training camp days for the Empire just to kind of take it all in. But, man, those guys, they're hungry. They're hungry athletes. So we'll come back to the topic of discussion as far as the IFL. But now, of course, we did miss my prediction episode for the XFL. Kind of had a little bit of a prediction Tuesday going into it, so I went 2-2 again. Not happy about it. The Dragons, man. The Dragons. Frickin' Dragons. They waited a whole game and a half because I don't know what they were doing the previous game, not making a quarterback switch, but they finally made it. BJ Daniels goes out there and slings it. 2 touchdowns, one on the ground, one through the air. And then, of course, 100 yards passing, 84 rushing. the guy's a dual threat. I don't know why he's been riding the pine for as long as he has. He was a spark. He was a game changer, and they probably would have won that game had he started from the very beginning. Now, he threw an interception late in the game. I get that. But if you consider what he did in the amount of time he did it, you give him a whole other half? Oh, not even close. I was sorely disappointed that had to happen the way that it did. I honestly thought he was going to lead him back to victory. I really did. I was like, he's gonna lead him down this field. He's gonna score, and then their defense is gonna hold up, and they're gonna get a stop, and it's gonna be freaking awesome. So I was very, very excited about B.J. Daniels taking over for Brandon Silvers. Now, look, Silvers probably a good guy. He's a good dude, probably a good quarterback. But in all honesty, I just said B.J. has that it factor that you want when you're a new team and you're looking for a spark, you're looking to mix it up on offense. B.J. Daniels brings that to the table. So the Dragons, they fall to 1-3. They have now lost 2 straight, and the road does not get any easier for them. Now, I would hope to God that they start B.J. Daniels for week 5, because they play who? The last undefeated team in the XFL, the Houston Roughnecks. Now, if you haven't been paying attention, I have no sympathy for you, because Houston is the team to beat in the XFL. Said it many times. I said it was them and then DC, and I don't know what happened to DC. Shut out by the Tampa Bay Vipers. Holy crap. Like, wow. I didn't watch that game. I didn't think I needed to watch that game. And apparently I needed to watch that game. I don't know what was going on with the defenders, but they had boasted one of the better defenses through 3 weeks. And now they're getting shut out by Tampa Bay, who didn't know which way was up for the first 3 weeks. However, we did say last Tuesday that they were getting better. You can't expect bad teams to stay bad forever. That's what we say here on the Fan Show. Just because a team sucks now doesn't mean they're going to keep sucking throughout the season. They will get better even if they go winless. That's the whole goal. It's inevitable. It has to happen. A team has to get better unless they keep making changes where it's 1 step forward and 2 steps back, and we've seen those before. But this early on, you had to know that Tampa Bay was only going to get better. And now they get a win, and wow, was it a win. So your final scores from week 4. LA 14, New York 17. I said Guardians would probably get that one because they were the home team and nothing else. Seattle 16, St. Louis 23. Oh, that hurts. Houston 27, Dallas 20 in the Battle of Texas. Great game. DC 0, Tampa Bay 25. Man, oh man, oh man. Quick congratulations to my man ZICKY DICE. He is your new NWA television champion. Well deserved. This guy has been on the show before for a wrestling special, and we were going to do another part to that, and our schedules just couldn't sync up. But I've kept in contact with him. I support his grind. I support his passion. He's a true grinder. Trust me, I know him when I see him. And I just could not be happier for the guy. So if you get a chance, Facebook, Twitter, at ZICKY DICE, wish him congratulations because he deserves it. He is an awesome human being. So he is your new NWA television champion. And his band Heart to Heart has an album out now, a new album. They've been around for a while, but this is a guy who is gloriously burning the candle at both ends. But not like you're up at 4 to work a job and go until like 2 and then you nap for 3 hours and then you do a graveyard shift kind of thing. He is doing frontman work for his band Heart to Heart, and he's pretty good. He's pretty good at it. And then he's wrestling on all these indie shows, bar wrestling promotion coming up against Gentleman Jervis, Cotton Belly, and now he's the NWA television champion. There's not a lot of guys out there that work harder than he does, at least on that on that level. So congratulations, Zicky Dice. XFL, what was the biggest surprise for you guys? For me, obviously, probably that Tampa Bay not only upset DC, but shut them out. Oof. Ooh, boy. That's a tough pill to swallow if you're a DC fan. How do you explain that? If you're a Seattle Dragons fan, maybe your biggest surprise was how well BJ did. But I feel like at that point, when they finally made the switch, you were just like, it's going to be good. Or at least it better be good. And it was good. I would like to think that BJ is definitely going to get that start. And then let's see here. The combine happened. It's come, it's gone, it's done. Joe Burrow has tiny hands, whatever. I don't get the combine, man. I've never understood it. I know there's a method and a rhyme and a reason to what they're doing, but they're being weighed, they're being measured, and they're being judged, and it seems like all kinds of wrong in the 21st century. But hey, however you find your next guy, if you're a football team, I guess there's a process to it. The combine's part of that process. So the combine has come and gone. So now we count down, obviously, to the draft, which will be in Las Vegas. Yeah, let's put a bunch of 24-year-old kids in Las Vegas the weekend of the biggest weekend of their lives. Just wow. Anyway, that's my thoughts on it. Berg, my buddy Berg, is going to be there. He'll have to keep me posted and let me know how crazy it gets. Final thoughts. Indoor Football League 2020 season starts in 4 days. Cedar Rapids River Kings hosting the Quad City Steamwheelers. I really do think this is going to be a good game. Derek Bernard at quarterback for the River Kings is going to breathe some much-needed lifeblood into the Cedar Rapids offense, and now he's got Shaq Curenton to throw to. But on the same side, or on the same note, opposite side, you've got E.J. Hilliard, Quentin Pedroza, and Kevin Stud Rudd coming back for QC, and that is going to be a tough one. So whose defense is better? Week 1, game 1, very first game of the season. Whose defense, right? That's what it comes down to. Quad City's defense last year is ultimately what they were lacking, that it was the hump they needed to get over. And I believe that their guys, Coach Ross, Nigel Stevens, have fixed the mistakes and assembled the best roster possible to get them firing on all cylinders out the gate. Their first home game, Quad Cities, is against Arizona. I mean, this is a team where it's like, okay, you guys were a win in your in situation last year with the playoffs, and you didn't get in. Okay, you had to beat Tucson, didn't happen. There was a lot of stuff that happened in that game, some injuries. Glad that Alfred is fully healed and ready for action again, even if it's not with Quad City. But so it's like you have your maiden voyage in the IFL, and you prove that you can hang with the big boys, even if you didn't get a playoff bid. And so now it's like, all right, it's time to throw you to the big dogs. And one of those is obviously Arizona. It's going to be a lot of fun to watch how this season plays out. Again, I want to make this very clear. I do not think that the champion of the 2020 IFL season is going to be a team that is undefeated or even one loss. I think we're looking at a 3-loss champion. Just my thoughts. I think 3 losses is going to be what the champion has on their record. And because, one, undefeated seasons are hard enough to do. But 2, you get your chance every once in a while to chase greatness, to chase perfection. And now that there's 13 teams, oh man. Unless you've got one of those just super easy schedules, and I don't really think that there's a team that does. And even when you look at it before the season starts, that's never how the season ends up being as far as your strength of schedule goes, right? You could look at your schedule when it first comes out and be like, oh man, we got a cakewalk. And then once the season is over, you look back and be like, man, did you see what we had to go through to get to the postseason and the championship? Can never bank on what your schedule is being easy or hard. You just can't. I don't think there's going to be any teams in the league that let it be easy. I don't. Frisco, Oakland, Spokane, Duke City, even San Diego and Bismarck, who weren't very good last season, I don't think they're not going to want to be pushed around again. They're not going to want to be the other bye week. So Cedar Rapids, same thing. These guys are going to come out of the gate and they're going to be out for blood. They're going to have something to prove, and they're going to have to try to prove it to 12 other teams. I mean, that makes for a really competitive field for the Indoor Football League. It's going to be very entertaining. I'm very excited for it, and I think I've probably said that a million times now, but I mean it. I truly mean how excited I am for the season. So with that, without any further ado or any more delay, I think we can get to our interview with Mr. Shaq Curenton. Great talk. I just want to preface that. I love talking to guys that were on my radar the previous season. Shaq and I didn't get a chance to link up for an interview last season when he was with the Sugar Skulls, but he was on the top 10. He was he a player of the week last year? I can't remember offhand. Sorry, my apologies. Should have researched that better. But I do love seeing these guys have great seasons and then getting a chance to catch up with them. It's even better if I get a chance to talk to them before they have a breakout season, right? But he's probably due to have just another phenomenal season. And with Cedar Rapids, fans are going to have a lot to cheer about. My thoughts personally. So here we go, one-on-one with Mr. Shaq Curenton of the Cedar Rapids River Kings. Enjoy. All right, ladies and gentlemen, joining me now, continuing the countdown to 2020 IFL kickoff. He will be having himself a game, hopefully, for the season kickoff with the Cedar Rapids River Kings when they host the Quad City Steamwheelers. He is Shaq Curenton. How you doing, man?
I'm doing great. And yourself?
I am excited, I think is the right word. If there's a better word, I don't know it. Ecstatic, maybe, because we're about to start a new season. You guys will be the season opener at home. How you feeling about that?
I'm very excited. I'm grateful for the opportunity. I'm just ready to get the show on the road.
Yeah, I think everybody can kind of echo that sentiment. You had a really great season last year, so obviously you're going to go into this season looking to kind of replicate that. What's a process and preparation look like for a guy who has such a great campaign one year, trying to make sure that he exceeds his own expectations the next?
I would say the biggest part is staying healthy. So making sure you're treating your body right, because in the indoor season, it's a long season. So 14 games playing indoor football inside an arena with not what you say a normal football field, which doesn't have pads, but we have pads, so that can take a factor in also getting hurt along with the players trying to tackle you. So making sure your body's right and staying prepared is the biggest part.
Yeah, what kind of, are you on any sort of specific health regiment or anything that you do in particular in the off season and in camp to help prevent yourself from getting injured or hurt when it's not necessary?
Well, obviously, it's nothing you can do to really prevent an injury, but I just make sure I'm putting the right things in my body. So I make sure I eat right, not too many greasy foods, less fried foods, more grilled food. So the way I eat is a big thing. And then I play a lot of flag football on the off season, so I'm continually running a lot. So it's never like I'm not playing football.
So you were with Tucson Sugar Skulls last year, correct?
Yes, sir.
How is that culture for you as far as your time with the team and just the fan base? Because it was their maiden voyage as an expansion team. How'd that treat you as a player?
It was a great opportunity to play out there for the Tucson Sugar Skulls. I wouldn't pass it up. But the fans was the biggest part. They are great fans out there. They're in the community. They see you out. They want to take pictures. They want autographs. So it's a great fan base. The team, they treated you well. The front office, everything was great. It was just, I guess it wasn't meant to be to come back, but everything happened for a reason, and it was just a great opportunity.
Oh, absolutely, man. I think you're going to get a great opportunity with the River Kings. I think you're going to really have a chance to shine. The fan base in the Midwest, in the state of Iowa, is fantastic. So I have no doubt they're going to welcome you like one of their own. So I wish you nothing but the best there. But real quick, as a Sugar Skull, your first season, the team's first season in the league, you guys had to play Arizona 4 times. What was that like, seeing that on your schedule and having that game come up as many times as it did?
When you see that game, you get even more excited because not only they try to call it like a big brother team, but we felt like we were the big brother. So each game we go in there, we had something to prove, knowing that we're a expansion team coming from Coach Guy. So we go every time we see him, it was just a exciting time. It was like we got to go out here and win this time. And then unfortunately we came up short each time, but it was a great experience each time, and we learned something each time we played them. So.
Yeah, and you guys got into the playoffs that first season, and so a great way to finish, the inaugural season, you getting to say that you were a part of that team that, went and had to win to get in, and you got in, and, the season was cut short, but obviously now that you're with a new team, you're looking to replicate that success. Was there anything in particular that sold you on Cedar Rapids as to a culture, the coach? I know there's kind of a lot of new faces there, and they rebranded last year, but was there anything in particular that attracted you to Cedar Rapids?
Yeah, well, playing wide receiver, one of the biggest things you want to have is a quarterback. So when I seen that they had got Derek Bernard, which he was leading the IFL before he left San Diego to go to Omaha. So once I seen they had got him, that was a big factor in coming to play because I knew he would pass the ball, not only to me, but just pass the ball in general. The coaching staff, a great coaching staff. I know they had a championship winning background. So I was just wanting to play for a guy that won a championship before, and also that could relate to my background, to where I come from. And then I had a couple of other defense that I know, so it was just all worked out. So I know it's good defensive players, good offensive players, and we come together, we can make it a great team.
That's awesome. You feel that way. I know a lot of people talk about how important the quarterback-center relationship is in that whole exchange, but in your mind, obviously, it seems like it's very important. Like, what's the process you go through when you're kind of scouting quarterbacks that could be your potential guy that's throwing to you?
Well, last year, Tucson was just a random act of coming in the camp and then figuring out who my quarterback would be, because we had like 4 quarterbacks, so I never knew who my quarterback would be. So it was like, but once I figured out who the which 2 quarterbacks we were keeping, I did some research and I knew one of them had led the season, led the conference in like passing, and one year, and then the next year the other quarterback led. So I just knew that it was going to be a great opportunity to play with both of those guys, Matt and Jake. So that was a big thing, and now this year I have an opportunity to search around and figure out who my quarterback was. And once I seen it was Bernard, it was no toss-up.
So is this something where you're like having lunch with them and like every chance you get to kind of be around him to get a feel for him, that you're building that relationship off the field as well?
Since the first day I got off the plane, he's like one of the only people I've been hanging out with. So it's not even dinner. I go to his house when he come to mine. We watch film, talk about whatever, talk about life. Because the biggest thing, football relates to life. So if your life's not going well, then you probably won't do well on the football field because you'll be worried about that. So we just talk about life, making sure everything's okay. So when we're on the football field, it's just straight chemistry in football.
So obviously, you've got your guy, you've got your city, your market. What's like the number one goal for you right now as a competitive player in the IFL?
Can you repeat that question one more time?
I was saying, now that you've got your quarterback, you've got your team, your city, everything is pretty much set for a new season, and you guys are going to kick it off this weekend. What's a goal that you have personally for yourself for 2020?
The goal for myself is to be better than I was last year and to bring the championship to Cedar Rapids, and then get an opportunity to move on to the next level.
Now, next level, is that XFL for you? Have you liked what they're doing over there with the XFL?
I really like what they're doing in the XFL, and I wouldn't mind playing in that league, but NFL is the ultimate goal. XFL is the next goal.
Of course, yeah. NFL, the ultimate dream for any young, aspiring football player that's ever had a chance to put on a pair of cleats or pick up a football. So the last question for you, it's a big one now, so I need you to really think hard about this. You made a few, to say the least, appearances, pretty good ones, on the Fan Show Top 10 last season. We're bringing it back. It's going to be bigger and better than ever. How many times are you going to wind up on the top 10 this season?
Well, since we're the only team playing week 1, you can catch me on there at least 4 to 7 times. Yes, and as the season goes on, you can see me on there each week because each week is going to be a show. So get your popcorn ready.
Yeah, we got 4 teams playing 2 games, so it's going to be hard to put together the 10 best, and I think it'll be even harder when there's more teams playing because now you really got to filter through what was good and what was great as far as the plays go. But I think you're going to have plenty of great plays in store, especially in Cedar Rapids. You got a great quarterback, a great coach, and a great fan base there. So I'm excited for you to play there. I'm sure they're excited for you as well, and you guys kick the whole season off this Saturday against Quad City, so it's going to be a tough opponent for you. You guys both have something to prove. What's the rest of the week look like for you guys as far as getting your minds right?
We got 2 more days of practice and a walkthrough, and it's showtime, game day.
All right, man. Any pre-show or pre-game rituals that you got?
Just make sure I say my prayers and make my few calls to my family members, let them know I'm all right, and make sure they tune me in. And go time.
Hey, there you go, man. Whatever works, whatever you got to do. I applaud that. So thank you so much for your time, man. I really do appreciate you taking a moment to be here on the show. It was great to have you finally. And he is Shaq Curenton of Cedar Rapids River Kings. You take care of yourself, my man.
Will do. Have a great day.
You too.
Thank you.
And one more big thank you to Shaq Curenton for joining us here on the Fan Show. Cedar Rapids River Kings hosting the Steam Wheelers of Quad City. That game is Saturday, March 7th. Very, very, very close to IFL 2020 kickoff. And don't forget that if you're watching live on Facebook, I appreciate that. If you like the Facebook page for the Fan Show, you get to hear and see all this before anybody else does, because once we're done here, I upload it in podcast form on iTunes, SoundCloud, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and of course Spreaker, and then YouTube. What you're seeing now on the Facebook page, if you're watching there, is what you will see on the YouTube page, but you get it first. You get the exclusive right here on Facebook. So if you can't make it live, totally understandable. Make sure that you have subscribed. Get the new episodes, the very latest from the Fan Show, every time there's a new episode posted. It'll download directly to your mobile device through iTunes, SoundCloud, Spotify, or iHeartRadio. And maybe you're not Facebook savvy. That's okay. Maybe Facebook is the one social media you don't have. You can follow us on Twitter at FanShowOfficial. You can also give us a follow on Instagram, which is The Fan Show. We have a YouTube channel on there, but I don't believe it's youtube.com/FanShowOfficial or even The Fan Show. But we do post links to the YouTube channel on Twitter. And then, of course, there's links to everywhere else on Instagram, because Instagram's really difficult with video and podcasts and things like that. I wish you could paste links in your posts, in your comments. It just drives me nuts. Why can't we do that yet, Instagram? Anyway, I digress from my point. My point is that make sure that you're following the Fan Show wherever you may have social media, okay? iTunes, Spotify, SoundCloud, iHeartRadio are the ways to listen if you can't watch live. And if you are on Facebook, if you are a Fan Show faithful, then we appreciate you. I appreciate you checking us out on Facebook live. See it and hear it before anybody else. So remember, it's not official unless it's Fan Show official, and we are officially out of here, Fan Nation. So remember, best of luck to you and yours. Go Niners, and it's all fun and games until you butt fumble. Good night, folks.